whispers and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on Earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause. Welcome to The Probable Cause. This is a podcast covering the criminal justice system in Allen County, Indiana, northeastern Indiana, and the state of Indiana. I'm Jamie Duffy, your host and a locally based journalist. Next to me is Mike McAlexander. He is the co-host and he is the Allen County Prosecutor. Today we have two longtime officers with the Fort Wayne Department of the Gang and Violent Crimes Unit. I think that title pretty much tells it all, but we will be going over the latest mass shooting that was unusually for this, caught on video, and just a lot of other things that you're probably very interested in, because right now everybody's talking about the violence in town. We're going to let you know, is that really unusual? We do have a very safe town. That's, I think, one of the things we're going to establish. But first, the courts. Mike, what have we got in the courts?
Nothing. I mean, we still have regular hearings going on, but no jury trials this week. They all either were continued or pled out.
So, just can't bring another case on and get it through the courts and...
You got to have notice to get subpoenas out, bring people in.
Yeah.
So, last week we had 3 murder cases set and got a conviction on the one that was tried, but we bumped 2 others. So
that was Carlos Ellis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a lot of reaction on that on the Probable Cause Facebook page. You might want to go there and see. There was a lot of back and forth about, guilt, homicides, and all of that.
There was a lot of circumstantial evidence in that case.
Right, yeah. Because it had been so long ago, 2017. So anyway, he was convicted and he will be sentenced, I'm trying to remember, sometime in August. Now let's turn to Gary and Matt. Let's just introduce them one more time. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think I did introduce them. So we have Gary Hensler right there. He is a sergeant. And we have Matt Foote right here. They're both detectives on the gang unit. They've spent a lot of time on the streets, anywhere where there are gangs and violent crimes in the city. So let's start exactly with what exactly is your role. We know we have vice and narcotics. We know we have the homicide unit. We know we have shift detectives. So what exactly is your commission within the Fort Wayne PD?
Well, as we're structured, we're a uniform detective branch. We're part of the Vice and Narcotics Bureau. And
oh, you are part of Vice and Narcotics?
Yes, we fall under the captain of narcotics, who's Dave Nelson.
Okay.
Our day-to-day operations are we wear a uniform. Well, our primary goal is the mitigation of violent crimes. Prevent it before it happens is our primary role. And then if it happens, we try to solve it. How we do that is reviewing daily reports from officers on the streets, social media, talking to sources, boots in the ground, talking to people that live in the neighborhoods, be directed towards the violent crimes. Once we're directed towards what we would consider like hot spots, we attempt to interdict that violence, whether it's traffic stops or search warrants.
Well, when you do a traffic stop, do you have to have a reason to do that, or can you just suspect something?
It depends. What do you mean by reason? If you mean reason like
just say, hey, I think I know that guy. And I believe he was involved in a shooting, so I'm going to pull him over. But is that enough to pull somebody over?
No. What you just said right there, no. But if you build on that, you don't necessarily have to have a traffic violation. The biggest, most common reason to commit a traffic stop is a traffic violation, like didn't signal their turn, ran a red light, speeding, you name it. But it can be from violence, what would be considered like a Terry stop. In a car.
A Terry stop?
Yes, more commonly they're on foot, like somebody's acted suspicious, totality of the circumstances, they're in a high crime area, they have their hand in their waistband, they're sweating profusely, they have a hood on, they're outside of a business that's been robbed a lot, and their actions are looking all around. You can stop them and frisk them. And
So in
figure out
other
what
words,
they're doing
you
wrong.
have to put all those reasons in your probable cause. If
Yes,
you
We
a
do.
traffic stop.
It's building reasonable suspicion to stop somebody. We can't just stop somebody just because we want to. There has to be facts and circumstances that we can articulate as to a reason why we believe somebody's involved in criminal activity. Basically,
So, and you guys are on the third shift, the overnight shift.
We call it mid shift, which is 6 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay, so you're out there when a lot of stuff happens, although not everything. I mean, wait a minute, you said 6 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
Correct.
Okay, because the last shooting was after that, I believe, or it was maybe a half hour after that. So you're roaming the streets at night. What's the fear factor in that?
You mean for us?
Yeah.
I mean, it's dangerous, but we, like yesterday, we just had a training day all day out at the range practicing our tactics and everything. It's a dangerous job. Can bad things happen to us? Yes, but we try to do the best training we can to put ourselves in the best position to succeed and to protect ourselves and to protect the citizens.
and
Yeah.
we work as part of a group.
Right.
So, when we make traffic stops, unlike some officers that are by themselves for several minutes, maybe before somebody comes and backs them up, we work as a unit. So we're in the same area, working in the same parts of town. So if we make a traffic stop, or if we stop a homicide suspect because we know that that person's a homicide suspect, we're together. So we can use our tactics as a group and be somewhat dominant. So we always have each other as a group to work together.
Yeah, because I can remember we had Chris Felton on here. Remember, is he a captain or sergeant? I can't remember.
He's a sergeant.
Sergeant, okay. And I said, well, when you come up on these scenes, I mean, are they shooting? And he said, sometimes, a lot of times they've fled, but there might be somebody getting that last shot off. So
We have been in
We've been
dozens
at
of spots
multiple
where
times
guns
where
are-
we've been out there and
Yeah.
shots are fired right in front of us, and most of the time there's a lot of people about, like, say, like some big nightclubs. I won't mention any names of any nightclubs, but where the crowd starts spilling out and then there's gunfire between them. Obviously we can't intervene at
but
that
why do you
time.
get called to that then? Are you just like cruising around
A
or?
lot of times we may know some of our local gang members are there, and we may suspect that there's going to be issues, so we will be conducting surveillance in those areas, and then that stuff happens in front of us. Multiple times the past year, we've responded to shots fired when we were present.
So let's go to Mike though. Like when you get you have to approve the probable cause around here. If they're doing traffic stops, what are the things that you require?
Well, usually if they're doing a traffic stop, there has to be some violation. As he said, failure to use, some of it can be very technical. I mean,
I think it's a joke about
You don't
that.
use a
You don't
turn
turn your
signal.
signal on 200 feet before the intersection.
Well, that's not in the
they changed the law.
That one's been repealed now, so we can't.
Oh, it has?
But there's other ones that are not well known.
Yeah, my favorite right now is you're supposed to stop if there's a sidewalk, before the sidewalk,
Oh.
before you enter the
That's
street.
my favorite too.
Yeah.
And one of the other ones that used to get on my nerves when I was a cops reporter is the tinted window thing. Because out where I live, out in the Northwest, I'll see all the geezer patrol, as I call them, out there in their big F-150s. And the windows are so dark that I can't even tell who's in the truck. And I'll bet you they never get a ticket.
I can't speak to that. I work nights where there isn't a geezer problem, I guess.
And I drive an F-150.
Oh, you do? Wow.
I don't consider myself a geezer yet.
No. I'm talking about the guys that cruise through my Kroger parking lot, with yeah, they don't have the music blaring. It's usually like a rumble attached to their F-150, but, Anyway.
I think one of the things that they have done that has been so overall impressive,
Right.
for so long, we didn't really have good intelligence on what was going on in the streets and with the gangs. And they have been devoted to keeping that street knowledge going so that the police have it. And it's not just stopping guns and the people that they arrest individually. It's also that knowledge that they help the homicide unit when we have a murder, because they know so many of the players out there that if they hear a nickname or something, they can develop leads a lot faster than what you just get from the crime scene. And it's that intelligence that I think has contributed a lot to the success that Fort Wayne police have with solving homicide.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it shows up in the probable cause because sometimes you put the rap lyrics in there.
Yeah,
You know?
what Mike just said, like maybe 10, 15 years ago, everything was so siloed. Like homicide was, they kept their information, their cases, they're siloed just amongst themselves. Gang unit, we were in our infancy that period of time. We kept our information ourselves. Narcotics, if there was information to be shared, if I had something that might help the homicide, or if they needed something, it just wasn't shared amongst ourselves.
It wasn't?
And the same necessary at the prosecutor's office. We were all independent of each other. But now leadership changes and just philosophical changes in how we approach police work. We're no longer like that. We work together as a big unit to share information a lot better than we used to.
How many homicides do you figure you actually stop before they happen? Do you have any feeling?
It's really hard to put a number on that. And Matt was a part of one we had many years ago where a source told us that a group was just leaving his house now, and they had guns and they were out looking for trouble. We got a traffic stop on it. I think we had 3 or 4 guns out of the car. Made arrests on all of them. They had they had their phone on a GPS modem with the address of what we called the ops, the other gang on there. They're en route to that place. We know we prevented at least 1 or 2 homicides that night. That one was 100% tangible. But outside of that, just the mitigation of things we do on a regular basis. Like last weekend, Friday and Saturday, and this coming up Friday, we're doing what we call violent crimes interdiction. Chief Smith wanted us to, because of some upticks recently, he wanted us to have a heavy presence. And so us and like narcotics and some of our federal partners and our street crimes unit have all worked together going out that night and doing what we like call like heavy hitting, a lot of traffic stops just to have our presence known and just to let people know we're out there, let the citizens know we're out there, to make the city safe. And
how do you let the citizens know you're out there?
Just by our presence is what I mean by that.
And they know your presence? How do they know you're there? Are you waving to them like, hey, this is Matt?
All the traffic stops, they see us. So we had the Indiana State Police out with us. We had
sorry, I forgot to mention them. Yeah.
Federal partners that were out with us to assist us. There were a lot of extra officers on the street, and people, they know this. And like Gary was saying, one of the incidents we had this past weekend, we were watching one of our known locations that has criminal activity. And when we were watching it, we had surveillance on it. Undercover officers were watching it. And we had an individual that pulled out a gun on the lot and was looking into the windows of the business. Ooh. And then he walked around back. And, our thoughts were, hey, this is either going to be a robbery or he recognizes somebody in there and he's waiting for him to come out. And they went back into the car, but they didn't go into the store. They were waiting, and we thought, well,
that's a bad sign.
We approached, 2 guns in the car. Do I think we prevented something there? Absolutely.
So he was acting suspiciously. That's how.
100%, and that goes into what we were witnessing led us to believe criminal activity was afoot. That is a reason to stop somebody.
So when you stopped him, though, what was the result of that? I mean, he didn't get arrested.
He did not.
Had done nothing wrong at that point.
And so the same individuals were reported just previously at a fight incident where they were named as being armed, just prior to this happening, which we had no clue at the time. So they were both not prohibited persons. But do we think that we interjected and stopped something from taking place? 100%.
Okay, so tell us, what's a prohibited person?
So people can be prohibited for many reasons, whether it be due to a long stay for mental illness, they're a convicted felon, a serious violent felon. It could be just a multitude of
dishonorable
battery,
dishonorable discharge from the military.
Really?
That's basically the equivalent of a felony.
If you're under
dishonorably discharged from military.
So in other words, when you say prohibited person, that means prohibited from having a gun.
Yeah,
correct.
That's in Indiana statute. When they redid the gun carry laws, they created this provision about prohibited.
Are you saying
people.
just a couple years ago?
This one, they modified private law.
Okay, so they took away the one that you were talking about where they have to register their gun, but then they put this in.
No, the individual would get a gun permit so that they weren't registering the weapon. They were getting a permit for them, like a driver's license. You don't have to get a new license if you change cars.
Now we fall under that constitutional carry, where prior to that they had to have a handgun permit. And under that constitutional carry law, there is a list of prohibiting factors that somebody cannot possess a firearm or carry a firearm.
All right. Okay. Well, that's good. So what I really wanted to do, and the reason that I contacted Gary right away, well, first was that we did lose a gang member named Giorgio White, and we all had a soft spot for him, even though whatever. And so RIP to Giorgio. But there was the second year in a row we've had a mass shooting. And I first want to talk about it. It was July 4th to July 5th. It was early in the morning. But it seems as though a lot of people were talking online about there was an astonishing array of weapons. It wasn't just your average Glock or 9mm or whatever. It was AK-47s. Can you just address when did this start? Would they start getting
Oh boy,
these?
if you go back to my long distinguished career of almost 26 years, when I first came on, it was like High Point's cheap handguns of handgun caliber, like High Point's, Phoenix Arms, Ravens, cheap, small, hard to detect. And gradually over the years, they started changing to higher quality firearms, Glocks, for instance, Tauruses, and recently.
How much do those guns typically cost?
We'll say $500.
For a handgun, for a Glock or a Taurus?
Yes. And
$500.
Yeah. Yes. And then
that's a lot of money.
they started migrating into rifle calibers, whether it's a full-size rifle like an AR-15 or AK, or a pistol that is configured to carry fire said rifle round, like a 7.62 or a 5.56. Like they call them Dracos, or like mini AKs. Or
So
like
in other words, they're small. They're bigger than a handgun, but they're not as long as a long gun.
We still see people sticking these down their pants. They may walk with a limp when they're carrying these, but like Gary said, back in the day, it was a Saturday night special. It was a pistol that you could fit in the palm of your hand, and they did so because it was easy to conceal. Well, with the current law, constitutional carry, it doesn't matter what it is. We see a lot of AR-style pistols, AK-style pistols with 40 to 100 round magazines. These are large capacity magazines with high velocity rounds that it's superior firepower, and these guys are using that nowadays.
So in other words, they go out with their gun and the magazine's already clipped on there. And
Absolutely.
they're ready to shoot it off. And
you mentioned the 4th of July, and in that video you can hear that was a machine gun conversion device. These are converted weapons that will fire 1,200 rounds per minute.
And like the source of this discussion is that we're talking about, they used to want to conceal their firearms, but now it is almost the opposite for social media purposes and status in the gang, status with their ops. They want to show that they've got the biggest, baddest gun and they're capable of doing whatever with them. So it's like the opposite mentality that we used to have.
I mean, you almost felt you were on a battlefield. I'm sure everybody here has seen that video. I'm sure everybody that is going to listen to this podcast hasn't, and it's pretty easy to find if you haven't seen it. One woman of mine was a good
officer involved shooting a couple of years ago where he had a Draco between his legs, and he kept dropping his hands off of the dashboard, which gave the officer a reason to fear for his safety, and it was imminent. But it was that kind of weapon.
That was a Draco, I believe.
Draco, which is the same caliber as.
I also had to write that story. It took a lot of heat for it online.
These are rounds.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Go through this window and carry through several walls.
What kind?
These are the high velocity rifle rounds. I mean, these will carry all the way through a house without being stopped. Go through several walls, a dishwasher, and continue. No problem going through a vest, a ballistic vest.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're seeing a
This is-
lot of those.
Absolutely.
And what? Just tell us again. What are the brands that we're looking at?
Well, the like AK style pistols, an AK-47, but it's made into a shorter version that's more concealable. Is it really concealable? No. But can it be stuck down someone's pants and covered up with a shirt? Absolutely. And we're seeing more and more of these because it's the firepower. It's the large capacity magazines that 40 rounds to 100 rounds, some of them 150 rounds. And then you throw a machine gun conversion device on top of these, a 30 round magazine in a Glock, a second and a half with a machine gun conversion.
Where are they getting this machine gun conversion? Can you just go to the?
No, they can make them themselves. They can print them themselves in a 3D printer. They can buy them off online as airsoft parts, imported from China illegally.
$200-300.
That's it. And of course, oh, that's great. Oh dear. So I can imagine. Anyway, so from what this woman told me, 156 bullets were shot that night. Do you think it was more?
I do think it was more, and we've had other incidents where over 400 were shot.
Really?
In Eden Green, or the Villages of Hannah is what it is known as now. Absolutely. We've had several incidents with the hundreds of rounds.
Is this recently that you're talking about?
Oh, within years.
Okay.
Well, the one was you mentioned previous to the recording, the one where the lady got shot looking out the window in the front. I can't remember the involved parties' names, but that was an incident where there were hundreds of rounds collected.
Yeah, I actually have that on my script because Jimmy Ryan Thomas is that one bullet that he basically shot in response to the thugs from Chicago, as they were said, and they live there. And I went there the next day, so obviously I saw the aftermath. I saw all the bullet holes in the apartment buildings and everything like that. But she heard that it was 156 bullets, but the way it's going in the video, you wonder if it's even more. If they've got machine gun conversion units is what you're talking about. I would say that crime scene or whomever is in charge of this over at the Fort Wayne Police Department is still probably processing all those shell casings.
Absolutely. I mean, there are hundreds, and those guys have a heck of a job, and they do a heck of a job. But we probably didn't recover all of them either.
Where do you think they were?
Metal detectors, and
okay.
Sometimes they get ran over by cars and get hidden in the grass. So what we did recover probably isn't the total story.
Mm. And I noticed that, and this is going to be kind of a tough one, and I don't know how much you can say about it, but there's yet to be an arrest there. I mean, we just had a homicide last night. We already know not only who did the shooting, but who the victim was. But this one's tougher. All we have is that video. What can you tell us about what are they doing to figure out who the perps were in this one?
Well, we always ask the citizens to come forward, anybody that knows, because there's one video in this day and age where everybody has their cameras out. There's probably hundreds of videos out there with different angles of this, and some of them might capture the actual shooter shooting somebody.
Don't you think usually those are posted?
Not necessarily.
No kidding.
And they're in private stories.
Mm.
I mean, our offenders or would-be offenders are always adapting how they do things. They used to have everything out in the open for all of us to see, basically saying, police, look at me, I've got a gun, I'm a felon, here I am, here's the serial number for it for you. They used to post that public, but now they're more private stories. It's harder to get into them, if that makes sense.
And Jamie, there was a large presence of people there. How many people do you think came forward? People are afraid of retribution and
that's a great fear right there.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of people that know exactly what happened and who was involved, but we may not get that information. And I can tell you, our homicide unit is probably one of the best in the country.
Oh, yeah.
With technology and the investigative skills, and we assist with what we call our Task Force 60, which involves gang unit narcotics. If other agencies aren't looking at what we're doing because of our solve rates, they're crazy because it's a talented group. But
I did ask the Indianapolis Police Department that several months ago. But they've invested in technology.
That information.
Yeah.
And we rely on the community. I mean, the community is one of our biggest assets.
But right now, and we don't know, maybe you don't know either, is anybody talking? I mean, after all, that poor girl was lying there. In the video, you hear somebody say she's dead.
Sure.
And then you hear some other guy tell, he's saying like, oh, did he say, I got shot twice. I can't feel my foot. I got to get out of here. Then the other guy says, no, you can't leave. And, okay, so you are the gang unit. What gangs are we talking about? Because I was told by somebody else, definitely a gang.
In that particular shooting?
Yes.
I'm reticent to say their names on this because for
Well, we're still under investigation.
Well, the two that have been so active are the, oh my God, the MSG and the wait a minute. I can't believe
BMG and a BSG.
Thank you.
And we don't even like saying their names because we don't,
we don't want to
we don't want to give them credit for any of the violence they do because it's absolutely sickening with what's going on the last several years with those two groups.
I'm just surprised anybody's left in those gangs, honestly. There's been so many.
You know, Jamie, there's always somebody that fills that role.
Really?
There's always somebody that steps into that's willing to step into that role, even though these guys are going away for centuries sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
the
just
amount
got
of
the-
juveniles that we've had charged with murder over the last 5 years is absolutely disgusting.
We just got the appeal affirmed, the conviction affirmed on Terrence Sanders, who was one of the
Oh, yes.
Shooters of
Yeah.
Fox Point,
One of the four.
where a machine gun conversion device was used in that one as well.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, and that really was murder. I mean, they really hunted him down.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I sit there as a reporter and go, you know, but that one, yeah, it was murder.
But it is, I mean, that's in its own way a tragedy. He's, 18 when he did this, and he got a 115-year sentence. So he'll be there till he dies.
And I mean, you talk to some people too. Well, you're one of them. You know, they could be offered a plea. I mean, after all, Terrence Sanders did not have an easy life growing up. And the other guy who got convicted, same deal, you know. And I think there's one yet to be adjudicated, but maybe he took a plea deal too. But anyway, they just don't think that they can't imagine spending that amount of time in prison. And so they go to trial, and it's even worse for them.
With juveniles, everything is so impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think about what's going to happen. They just act, and they deal with the consequences later. It just, everything is just so of the moment.
So, I mean, you guys are out there in the street with these kids all the time.
We talk with these
What's
kids
it like to talk to
nonstop.
them? Yeah.
Most of these kids are pleasant with us. Now, not all of them. I mean, some of them do not like the police whatsoever. But I can tell you a story where I tried to talk to a kid multiple times. His mother actually stopped me at Kroger on Pettit and asked me if I would talk to her son, who I knew well. And I talked to him. I talked to him in a grocery store for quite a while, and I told him, if you don't stop this, you're going to get killed. There's only two places for you to go. And 2 weeks later, he's paralyzed in a shooting. And I held his hand at the hospital and I told him, you're never going to walk again. And we had this conversation.
Did he start crying?
He did. He absolutely did. These are kids. These are kids. And that's hard. That's hard to have these conversations, but and some of the parents don't like us having these conversations with the kids, but I'm pretty brutally honest when I talk to these kids because I've seen a lot of it.
I mean, have you ever seen kids, you and Gary, you talk to them, you tell them what the consequences are going to be, and then they give it up?
I'm sure there have been. There are some that we have encounters with that you just never see again. And you'd like to think that it's because that they matured out of it and they started thinking better and making better decisions in your life. I'm sure there's a lot of them like that. Like Matt is saying, when you're 18, 17, 16, you're so impulsive, your brain's not completely developed, you don't make good decisions. Maybe after we've talked to them, there probably are some, they're like, oh yes, that 100% makes sense. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get myself squared away. That happens with people that are in high schools and stuff too. If people that are struggling with grades, a teacher, a mentor, or somebody can talk to them. And sometimes all it takes is just a little conversation and their life is on a totally different path. So we would like to think that that does happen, but it's hard to
But then also, as we were talking before, we even turned the cameras on, the pressure sometimes from the family is even really bad.
Yeah, like historical crime families, generational to generational. There's plenty of those out there in the city.
Yeah, and so you're fighting all of that too. So as I said, the shooting that we saw, I think you can reassure the public that, well, I don't know if it's reassuring or not, but hey, this isn't anything really new. You know, you're talking about, oh my gosh, the city's in flames right now. But I'll just start with this one right here. When I was at the JG in May of 2018, neighbors describe a hail of bullets in Gaywood homicide. Dominic Elijwan Files, 28, died that day after he was taken to a hospital. There were 2 other victims, Deviantre McGowan, 21, and Alan Lamar Ruffin, who was 29 at the time. Ruffin was then killed 2 years later in a drive-by shooting. And a week prior to that, we had a big shootout down here when there used to be a restaurant before the landing became what we know it is now. There were regularly guns being pulled out. And this one was unusual because the shooters followed the other people all the way down that alley down there, and then they shot out the windows of the police department, which we have photos of that we can show. So that was just in 2018. Let me just see here, 2021, we've already talked about it, the Villages of Hannah, when Jamarian Thomas and his family drove up in their cars. There were some words exchanged between them and the people from Chicago. We do not know what their names are. They're probably long gone from Fort Wayne. His mother was shot in the chest 4 times and showed up at the trial. His aunt he even got shot. And so, but unfortunately one of his bullets, you know, in response, or, you know, they're trying to say he did the warning shot, and there was this hail of bullets. They said there were more than 50 bullets. Matt, you were saying it was a lot more than that.
Yeah. You know,
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds. And then we talked
Again,
about
no
firepower. Well, and the incident you talked about with Dominic Files and Al Ruffin, you know, there's an incident where our older school gang guys still had conflict, and Al Ruffin died later in a different incident. In that incident, there was a father and son present. So we talk about those the families with multi-generations of crime. Well, we saw that then, and there were dozens of rounds fired during that incident. Just a hail of gunfire, and that's exactly what it was described as. This is what we see, and like the same thing that we saw with Giorgio, one of our most recent ones. Old beefs never die, and I always talk about that to kids. Like, hey, you may do something when you're young that caused someone else to be very mad at you, and that person may go to jail and get out 10 years later, and they come looking for you. So the things that you do now can come back and haunt you, and we see that all the time.
Yeah. And that's also what makes it tough sometimes to get witnesses to cooperate, to either come forward initially or to keep them on board if we do identify somebody and go to trial.
I can imagine, because retaliation is a scary thing.
Well,
so
every time you see a house get shot up for no apparent reason, it is usually retaliation for something.
That's actually what happened in Gaywood. There was an adorable little, it was either a brown or a green house. I know I took pictures, I don't know where they are. And they were moving out the next day, because I showed up the next day and I saw where one guy got shot by a car. His blood was on the car. And the neighbors were telling me what went on. But then when they knew you all were showing up, some of them just dropped their guns and ran off.
Yeah, we found multiple guns in bushes. When I was driving by, I was one of the first ones on scene. Mr. Ruffin knew my car. He called my name. He said, "Foote, I'm over here." And he had been shot pretty severely through the legs, and there was a gun next to him as well.
Was he the one next to the car then?
Across the street.
Yeah.
He was across the street.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't there obviously when I went the next day, but I saw and so God rest his soul as well. And then let's see, so last year we had another shootout, again, no video, it was right down here, I think, on the 4th of July. And there was one homicide and at least one other person that got shot. Do you know anything about that? I mean, we could compare that one, no video, but to the one where we do have the video, where we hear somebody talking about being shot, where we hear a girl who's just been killed.
I can't speak to the particularities of the investigation or anything, but I could just say that those sort of trends, it is in a large community social event, 4th of July fireworks. It brings thousands of people to a smaller area. And not
Do they think the fireworks are going to cover the gunfire, or do they even
No,
think that
it is a social event, a get-together per se. It's like a party. We're all going on their social media advertise we're going. So this group's going to go, this group's going to go. They're all being who they're usually, say, recently been beefing on social media, not in contact. Now suddenly they're in close proximity of each other with their weapons, with their impulsivity that they've got, with their lack of a moral compass. It all comes together, probably drinking, probably high, all the above. And so it creates a perfect storm. It's.
Do you all know where they're meeting ahead of time? I think we just talked about it, but
Sometimes we catch wind of it, but like I said, they used to advertise on social media and stuff that they're all going to be at the club at 123 West Main Street or something, and we could go there and surveil. Now it is more like, okay, we're having this party at this rental. DM me for the details. It's harder for us to get
Airbnb.
that's a possibility, or somebody's house, short-term rentals, something to that effect. And hopefully we have a source that'll tell us, or we'll have contacts that'll let us know that, or we'll start getting 44, which is loud music calls in an area, and we'll know, oh, yep, that's the house that the ABC gang is currently at. Then we can go set up and do it. And hopefully it's before there's been a violent act that's taken place there.
Do you get a lot of phone calls that are saying, hey, I think my son's going to a party and I think there's going to be violence?
We do have sources. And having those sources, stacks the chips on our side so much because, we don't know all the time where people are going to gather. But when we get those tips, we can follow up on it. I can tell you for the recent 4th of July shooting, we as a shift watched that location almost every night.
No kidding.
Because of the gatherings that were there. It was not a surprise to me that something happened there because those gatherings take place almost nightly.
Well, they said an intersection at Oliver and Green, but was it actually a house?
Well, where I know all the gathering happens typically is a house there. And we have raided that house as part of the gang unit multiple times in
It's a
years past.
business per se. It's a store, like a local convenience store per se.
Oh, okay. Well, that's shedding a little light on it there.
So
Yeah.
Oh, I think I even know because I go to that Y sometimes over there. So
you're talking about all these upticks in violence and such, and are they upticks? And if there wasn't any shootings a couple of weeks before that, yeah, they probably could be considered one. We're talking about historically they happen, but as you said, Fort Wayne is an extremely safe city for the size of the city that we are. And you said that these are kind of common that they happen. So I don't want to come out wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, it happens. Yes, there's a lot of shootings in certain areas at certain times of the year. Does that paint a bad picture sometimes? Yes. Are we a safe city? Yes. I mean, it's hard to say that properly, but we are a very safe city.
I frequently have said that this is an extremely safe city unless you are hanging out with people that carry guns, do drugs and sell drugs, and go to certain areas that are known hotspots.
Sure.
And if you avoid all of those things, this is relatively safe. We have very few stranger homicide type of things where somebody is just walking down the street and somebody goes by and shoots them. There's usually a reason behind it.
I can't even remember
It
one
may be
like
a
that.
stupid reason. I mean, we've had homicides over, you took my French fry or a bag of chips, stupid stuff. But again, you're hanging out with people that are carrying weapons, usually doing drugs, and I include marijuana in that because that is the drug of choice for
It's the
so
cheapest,
many.
most readily available one out there. So
Jamie, we have to remember as officers that we typically find people at their worst, right? We don't have contact with people when they're at their best, right? We get called when things are bad.
I know.
But we
That's
also,
I don't know how you guys do it day in and day out. We do need to talk about that.
well, the truth is that it's a very minute population that causes 95% of the problems. It's a very small number. The city is safe. It is a safe community to live in. It's a very small, select group that causes the problems, and that's why I work in the unit that I do. because we have the availability to impact that small group.
Oh, well,
And so, like kind of what Mike was saying, don't hang out with people that bring that upon themselves. And I cannot reiterate enough to parents out there: know your kids, know what they're doing, have active surveillance on your children all the time.
and
Don't
yet my
believe
heart
them.
bleeds out for some of these mothers who I've been told a couple of times, like, I go to the courthouse all the time. I cover these murder trials. So, like one mother said to me once, I could just tell my son wants to go to the streets and I don't want him to go to the streets. And so maybe you should talk to so-and-so. I don't remember when exactly that happened, but they must be scared every night of the week.
Try to know your kids' friends and stuff too, because our gang, and being a part of like associating with gang violence, our gangs aren't like their traditional like blue or Crips and Bloods from like LA where they've got colors and stuff and you're like beaten into the gang and you're in the gang for life. Ours are what we call hybrid gangs. They're not set up traditionally like that. There isn't structure. The vast majority, we'll say like our gang, our ABC gang has like 10 to 15 hardcore guys, which are the violent people. They're the leaders because of their violent acts. They're charismatic. People follow them. The ones that sometimes get caught up in this that the parents aren't even aware of because they don't wear the colors or whatever, what we call the outliers. They're not actively killing people or whatever. They're the ones that are like bullied in school. They don't have friends. They find comfort. They find security hanging out with Joe Smith, who runs this gang. He's violent. He'll protect me. If I say I'm with the ABC gang and Joe Smith, I'm good. Nobody's going to beat me up in school. Nobody's
That's probably right.
Nobody's going to pick on me. I've got protection. The other gang, the XYZ gang, they don't know that this kid really is just a hang-on or whatever. So they might see him walk in the streets or whatever. He's not really a gang member. He just claims it just for protection, just to be safe. That other gang doesn't know that. So he's not really a gang member. Is he looking for trouble? Not really. He's looking for protection. But because of that associations and stuff, he's made himself a target. So if he goes to like the 4th of July stuff that we're talking about, suddenly he's a target because he doesn't have his wits without him, right? He's not an experienced street soldier. He's not carrying a gun. He's not looking for violence. So he's not looking over his shoulder, right? But the ops know him. Yep, that's him. He's the one that's going to get shot and killed, not the hardcore gang member.
In this latest one, it was a girl who got killed.
Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. She might have been like a girlfriend at one time of Joe Smith or something to that effect. Not even hanging out with him now, but she's made it known that she used to, or they all know this. And so just being a part of this nonsense can make you a victim.
Yeah.
And we've had those talks with, you say the female that got killed. Like this happens it's pretty common. We talked to a couple years ago in one of our homicides, and I won't bring up his name, but we made a traffic stop on that individual 2 or 3 times in a matter of a couple of weeks because we knew that he was involved in criminal activity. And the female was with him. And we tried to pull her aside and say, hey, listen, these bullets don't have names on them. We can guarantee you that if you are seen in this car with this individual, bullets are going to start flying. We talked to her multiple times. And what happened? She got shot and killed.
Were they just sitting in a car?
Yes.
I know which one you're talking about.
So, and we bring up...
He wasn't even in the car then. It was her car.
Oh, he wasn't?
It was her car. It was her car. So they knew the car then. And then they knew dirtbag associated with car, right? And so the car became a victim too. So they looked for the car and they went after the car. Who cares who's in it? It's his car.
Gary brings up parenting and that's a huge factor. And we all come from a generation where we remember, it takes a village. And it seems like that village is not there anymore.
Yeah.
That these kids don't have a significant amount of people to turn to and have people to talk to and get them on the right path. It seems like that village has just gotten smaller and smaller.
Well, it's funny you say that because in the Carlos Ellis thing, I was going to talk about Baltimore. We can do briefly there, but I found this one to be very moving. This woman on the Facebook page for the Probable Cause said that she had been one of Carlos Ellis's elementary school teachers. And she said she wants people to literally look at young children. She said, I can remember with this news and the amount of violence that has taken place recently, I just wanted to share some thoughts. As a teacher, we tend to see behaviors in elementary school that lead us to believe we can see a path being taken that will lead to this type of outcome, and we are nearly always right. This breaks my heart because the first thing that pops in my head is, what more could I have done to light a different path for this young man? If we really want to start talking about how to help violence in the city, we need to flood our elementary schools with positive role models. And when teachers are warning parents, this is to what Gary was saying, warning parents about the path their child is taking or the behaviors that are being exhibited, I beg them to pause before they get angry, cuss the teacher out, pull the kid from the school, and put them somewhere else until the new teacher says the same things. Consider their professional view of how the child responds to authority, how they react when being told no, how they interact with peers. Teachers see a different side of students that we don't see as parents, myself included. So just wanted to.
That behavior is definitely present. It is definitely a factor for the future. And you talk about how do kids view the law and us. Even sometimes a month ago we made a traffic stop and I had a 4 or 5 year old flip me off through the window. This was a 4 or 5 year old. I really didn't even believe I was seeing what I saw. I was trying to count the knuckles over and go, well, that is a middle finger, and he's smiling. And I talked to the mom for quite a while after that, and about what's this kid's future if this continues. And it is, I mean, there's definitely a behavior pattern.
Did she know you?
She did not know me.
Okay.
What would your mom have done that with 4-year-old Matt Foote flipping off a cop in the back? Wouldn't have worked out so well.
No, it would not have worked out very well. Not at all.
Your bottom might have been a little warm after that.
She might not have
circles.
She might not have stopped talking for quite a while, and then brought in Dad, and they always.
But this is learned behavior. Mm-hmm. This is learned behavior. This isn't because the kids. Kids aren't. They're not born bad.
No.
Well, you talked about before the camera started rolling about gun control and the proliferation of guns and stuff. Is that in and of itself, the amount of guns out on the street, is that the issue? No. Is it one of the 4 legs of the chair? It could be. If you've got proliferation of guns, you've got lack of parental structure, you've got mental illnesses, you've got drugs. So I'm getting more than 4 legs here, but I keep going. Video games, violent music, violent TV, it all comes together. If you put like Matt as a young man or his children, he put a gun on the table in their house, would they have committed violent acts of that? No, they knew better. They were raised better. They didn't have mental illnesses. They didn't have any of this. So they had the structure and the training and the forethought to know, hey, I'm not going to mess with that.
And what Gary's
in the streets don't.
What Gary's trying to say is I think firearms were used in 91% of our homicides last year. So firearms are definitely a tool that is used. Are firearms the problem? In the wrong hands? For me, can I blame a number 2 pencil for filling in the wrong bubbles on my SAT test?
A little.
No, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
The pencil filled them in, but it was me making the wrong answers, right? So like with firearms, it's the people making the bad decisions when they carry firearms. The firearms are a tool that's used.
All right, then let's go to Everytown gun safety. Indiana's gun homicide rate is above the national average and has increased over the past decade. 1,215 people lose their lives on average, die by guns in Indiana every year. We are rated number 26. While Indiana was a pioneer with its extreme risk law, which we call Red Flag, in 2005, which was one of the first in the nation, it lacks all other foundational laws as it recently repealed its concealed carry permitting requirement. If Indiana had the gun death rate of our national leaders, which I don't have a list of them, but they're the states that have the best outcomes. The 10 states with the strongest gun safety laws, we could save 8,545 lives in the next decade. I looked up for...
Did that number include suicides?
Yes, it does. 58% are suicides. But there again, those people have to get hold of guns. What are the foundational laws? Background checks or purchase permits? requires a comprehensive check for all gun sales. Now, you can always say the bad guys are always going to get the gun. What this research shows that if you require this, then you have fewer homicides, all right? Your ratings are going to go up. Requires a comprehensive check for all gun sales, including at shows and over the internet, to ensure buyers are legally permitted to own firearms. Okay, extreme risk, red flag law. We already talked about that one. Permit to carry concealed guns in public. Mandates that individuals obtain a permit, which involves a background check and often safety training. You were talking about safety training, which is a great idea, because I imagine some of these kids get guns and they don't know what to do with them at first.
Absolutely. We know certain states require that you take a safety course for the use of firearms, but they also teach the law and when is it proper to use firearms? Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't happen here, and I think when we went from when we got constitutional carry, we had a permitting process prior to that. And that allowed us to take a look at, hey, does this subject have a propensity for violence? We were able to rule some people out and deny those permits through the state. In this new law, we don't have that. So we may have juveniles who have been adjudicated for felonies in the past, or even for firearm possession. And as soon as they turn 18, they're allowed to have that firearm again.
Would that have popped up in Spillman, though, if you were like pulling them over?
Oh, so we certainly have access to that, and we know that they have had those dealings in the past. But when we had the permitting process, we were able to deny that person because they may have shown to be a propensity for violence, or they may have had factors that we said, hey, this person's not ready to purchase or carry a firearm.
Right.
And that's not there.
And you may have made the arrest when they were a juvenile.
Absolutely, a lot of times.
Yeah, I have this feeling, I was telling Brock this, I think they know a lot of the players out there. And that's why you guys are so valuable to get on. Here's another one, secure storage requirements. Mandates that gun owners securely store their firearms using a lockbox or gun safe to prevent unauthorized access by children or others. Now, gang members that's going to be rare. Rejection of stand your ground laws ensures that individuals have a duty to retreat in dangerous situations before using deadly force rather than incentivizing violence in public spaces. You could count on, because that's very controversial, I feel like.
Absolutely. And the ones that have the bad intentions, they don't care about any of it.
Okay, so you're out there in the streets. Tell us what could change. What is your dream of its changing?
My dream? Oh boy, that's a hard one.
I know. But it's like, Gary, I've talked to you, I don't know how many times. And I know you think about this all the time. So if there were some changes that could be made from the community, or laws, legislation, or whatever, what would it be? How could the city help you all?
Well,
if that's a possibility.
I guess to get back into a little bit of what Matt was saying, there's no longer it takes a village. Everybody's just out there on their own, where you've got an absentee father. Most of our players that we deal with, the violent criminals, the violent street gangs, don't even know who their father is. They don't have he's not around. They don't have
So what could we do
their
about
mother.
that?
That's I don't have the answer, but that's one of the things we can start putting the legs on the chairs. So if we still have guns around and all this other stuff, the kids are more psychologically stable to be able to know right from wrong. So for families or society to have a better moral compass out there, and how do we get that? I think family and neighbors being a part of the solution.
Well, I mean, there is this program called ROCA that Baltimore is using, but it costs money because you have to pay people. But what they do is they go out and mentor one-on-one. So if you're saying a lot of these kids don't have fathers, let's get somebody father-like in there, but it's going to cost money. What would you feel about a program like that?
Well, this is like what we talked about before. We don't have the village anymore. We need more pillars of the community. We need more people involved. Everybody here knows what is contributing factors to violence.
Exactly.
And everybody knows it, but and everybody knows the fix. We need more people involved. We need parents involved. We need
But if the parents aren't there, that's what I'm saying. What
Sure.
would you, like I dream, you know what I dream about is like a grandparent program in the elementary schools. You know, volunteer grandparents, that's in quote. People who might be retired who could like go in and just, some of these kids just need somebody to listen to. I know.
Positive
But some of this is lessons that, you know, we talk about the schools. The schools only have them for 6-7 hours a day for 8-9 months a year. This kind of stuff has to be a lifestyle that they see every day, that they see their dad get up and go to work. Gee, why are you going to work? Well, to take care of my family.
And in the absence of that, maybe an uncle.
But that's where it's really hard, somebody stepping in. I mean, we have a lot of good programs, and
Yeah, we do.
hopefully, you know, they go through some kind of Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club. Those kind of organizations are trying to do that. But there really is no replacement for that constant presence that a parent can give.
Well, what about the pastors? Do you, I mean, it's not your role.
Not as
your
many
role is to
people are
go
going
out.
to church.
Right. I mean, your role is not to, you know, be psychologists out there too, although I'm sure you spend
We do.
plenty of time doing that.
Absolutely.
But,
You're trying to reach these kids
right.
that don't necessarily have the same value system. They haven't grown up with that.
There's not enough positive influence in their life.
That's what
And
this
then what
teacher
happens
was
if
just saying.
people that they're not visiting that there's a positive influence? Well, you know that they want to belong, so they're going to go somewhere and get that. And oftentimes, if there's not enough positive people in their life, it's going to be influenced by negative people.
Yeah, like Joe Smith of the ABC gang, who was the charismatic, ultra-violent leader of the gang.
I mean,
He becomes the father figure to a certain extent of these.
right, he does, because they do, everybody needs somebody to look up to, and I guess that's what they're doing, and it's fashionable, and the girls, there's a certain clique of girls that also find these guys attractive, and they go on and on.
100%.
I mean, when I was a kid, I remember couldn't wait for my 11th birthday so I could join Boy Scouts.
Oh, Mike, you know what
It
that's,
had to be 11.
let's bring the Boy Scouts in there, doggone it.
Well, I mean, it was a peer group that had older kids leading younger kids. Obviously, there were adult leaders there, but most of the activities that occurred were, if I was 11, my patrol leader was probably 13. So it taught leadership skills
Right.
to youngsters that were, 12, 13, 14, 15, that I don't see the kids getting these days.
No, we need to veer them into other activities.
Even
That's
if they're
true.
even if they're
Sitting around playing
in
cards.
sports, they're looking at adults to lead them as opposed to learning this. And I think there's a natural affinity to being in a group setting with people your age or a little bit older
Mm-hmm.
that you look up to as, oh, I want to be like him. Where it's hard for a 15-year-old to look at some guy in his 40s and say, I want to be like him.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, I can remember growing up and people who were like, if I were in junior high and then they were in high school, they were like the most interesting people in the world. It wasn't my parents.
Right, exactly. I mean, there is that peer influence is so strong. And if it's not a positive nature, then we end up with looking to Joe Smith and the gangs.
Well, I mean, we could talk about Baltimore. They have lowered the homicide rate, and they do have these people in ROCA and youth services and everything. They go out there, and it's not all like they hold their hands to a certain degree. All right. I just got word that the World Cup's about to start.
I didn't even know it was still going on. My
It's
apologies.
England versus Argentina, and my wish is that Argentina does not win. So. Anyway, group violence reduction strategy, focused deterrence. It was launched in 2022. It's a carrot and a stick. Outreach workers and case managers from groups like ROCA and Youth Advocate. The stick is local police and prosecutors like the state's attorney office closely monitor participants, all right? So that's you guys. If identified individuals continue to engage in gun violence, law enforcement coordinates multi-agency operations to ensure swift legal action, which sounds like what you're going to be doing this weekend. You're going to have your interdictions. You're going to be out there everywhere, and they're going to know it, and they're going to have a ball trying to avoid you. And I could just see what's going on there. Now, wait a minute. Where's the rest of that? Oh, where did it go? Anyway, so then if that was the stick. All right. I'm trying to find. After shootings or other serious incidents, the city identifies people at elevated risk of being involved in retaliation or future violence. Some receive direct communications warning them to stop shooting and offering help. Others are referred to two words that I can't stand together: service providers. It's just so broad. You don't know what they're talking about. It's jargon galore, but go ahead. About they
Is that a question?
receive direct communications warning them to stop shooting, but offering help.
Well, I think that's what Matt was saying, that he has tried to talk to these kids and give them, you stay on this path, this is your outcome. Go spend the rest of your life in prison or in the cemetery.
They seem to learn from the older generations. They come out at 14, 15, 16. They're still doing the same baloney.
No, it's just the lack of, their brain's not developed right. They don't know how to make decisions. They know everything. They know everything at 15. It's just a way of children, no matter what generation they're from. It doesn't change.
I would literally like to take my camera into Westville, Wabash, correctional facilities, and just go around and show them what life is like in there, because I get reports all the time.
I can tell you it's pitiful because we've been to Westville. It is
disgusting.
Absolutely pitiful. And to know that these kids may spend a large chunk of their life there is unbelievable. When you talk about the programs, we always hear people say, well, if it's not broke, don't break it. I say if it's not broke, break it, because we need to try new stuff. If we're not trying new stuff, we don't know what works. So these programs are beneficial if we can get through to a small percentage of people. Do we get through to some people? Absolutely we do. We do. I mean, we do. We don't hear about it all the time. But if we can get through to a small percentage of people, it's worth it.
I mean, some people literally try and move. I know mothers who've tried to move
Oh, absolutely.
away.
I know parents have moved their kids out of certain schools just because of the dangers that were present for their kid. They moved to Ohio.
Did it work?
To get away from the gangs that were in schools, picking on the kids.
Sometimes, and I'll say most of the time, it's just the kids that are moving are the problem. They're always saying, not my kids, not my kids. And
well, that's exactly what this
and
teacher
they pop
was talking
up.
about.
They pop up like people move their kids from Chicago to Fort Wayne, and I need to get my kid away from the violence. Well, your kid was the violence, and he brought it here. Thank you very much. That's kind of that happens a lot. So,
But like that lovely group at the Villages of Hannah that day in 2021 or 2022 when we had that massive shooting, they were all adults.
They were adults. But anytime you get people that hang out and gather, and you get groups that don't agree, stuff like that happens. I remember I was at jail actually when that call came in, and there were still shots being fired when I left the jail and got there. That's how many shots were fired.
They just didn't.
Large group of heavily armed, agitated, drunk, high, getting into a fight. It's a recipe for disaster.
They were still showing, but none of them ever got arrested. So they were very good at getting away. You don't know who they are. And
what you're talking about there, the Baltimore program or anything like that, it sounds good. So it'd be a good idea to potentially track its long-term efficacy to see how it's looking.
Well, that's a big word.
Term.
I hope everybody knows.
That sounds similar to one that I was looking at like a couple of decades ago. It was called the High Point program out of High Point, North Carolina. Similar in nature, where theirs was more narcotics division related, where they would do drug buys off of the in the certain problem neighborhoods and stuff, and get drug charges on dozens of people, as opposed to having charges on them, what they would do is they would bring them in, and it was a collaborative effort between the police, the prosecutor's office, and then some outreach programs. Places that had jobs, they would bring them in and said, Mike's got charges on you. You got 20 years coming your way. But we've got a job for you too. He's going to promise to hold the charges on you to see if you hold this job for like set period of time, go to counseling, doing all that stuff. That particular program, and I ran out of touch with it, had a short-term high efficacy to it.
Nice.
It worked shortly, but then it was so high cost, so intensive for like his office, narcotics from the police department, the people that gave jobs before just started bowing out of the program. So the program eventually fizzled because it was so high in cost, whether it was money or like all of our office's manpower. It just didn't work long term. But like you're saying, the Baltimore thing, it sounds like you think it might be high cost. It probably is.
I mean, the city itself put in $2.5 million, and then they got some federal money. But they count on that because the mentors who go out and track these kids down every single day, and don't you want to, I've got a job for you. That job might only pay $15 an hour. They're selling drugs and making $1,000 a week, you know? So it is high cost. And if the money runs out, it just seems like the city's pretty determined because they have such a bad reputation, you know, for
But what's the
homicide.
cost of not doing it?
Well, yeah, exactly.
How much is it to have somebody in DOC for a year?
There were, I think, 68,000 or so.
Oh my God.
So what's the cost? What's the cost benefit?
Yeah.
It may cost, but if it's working well, then it may very well darn be worth it.
68,000. Wow. That's absurd.
They're kind of using moving targets. A decade ago, they said it was like 53, 55,000.
But that's still way more. I'll bet these guys who go out in the street don't even make that in a year.
So some of these programs might not actually be high cost when you start looking at the numbers of incarceration.
So anyway, we've solved it right here. You know we have. We need stronger family. We need grandparents. We need all of this. But you guys, you've been on the gang unit for more than a decade, each one of you. What do you do to relieve the tension? You see a lot of bad things out there. You see a lot of kids who've been murdered. You know, what do you do when you go home at night? How do you relieve the tension of this job?
When I go home at like 3 a.m., I watch like South Park for maybe like a half hour or so. I watch like South Park for a half hour and go to bed. The next morning, I'll go out and water the flowers. I know that's what he does too.
Well, now we live through our kids, right? And so you know I go to the lake, and because we need that downtime. I mean, it's just but everybody does. It's not just law enforcement. It's everybody. Everybody needs that time. And that time with the kids and that family time, that's what makes families successful, and that's what we need more of.
You like to go fishing?
I do. I fish. I used to do a lot of hunting, but now at the lake, you know, with the family, it's all family. All family comes together at the lake cottage, and we have my wife's family's large. There'll be 30, 40 people at the lake every weekend. So it's all built around the family.
Do you consider your lawn and your plants?
It's pretty high up there, yes.
You consider your fan.
Really? I mean, I'm a gardener too.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite? Do you raise vegetables or do you raise flowers?
Flowers. I mean, landscaping in total. I enjoy landscaping, and the only thing I don't enjoy is getting my water bill.
He complains about his water bills. Yeah.
When I get the water bill, it's a bad day.
I watered a lot today my own self, so yeah.
What do you grow, Gary?
Well, I just water all our flowers. And my wife knows, she can tell you everything we have in the yard, but I don't know the names of them. I just take care of them. She works her, and she's got a real job, so she works during the day. And I got tomatoes and jalapenos and garden vegetables.
So you do grow vegetables.
Yeah.
Do you grow any herbs?
Basil. I got some basil and some chives. That's all I got. Just a little garden. Just a little one.
I love it. How about roses?
We've got one rose bush. We had two, but one went to the Rainbow Bridge and is no longer with us. So
They're the hardest things to grow, I swear.
Yeah, they are.
we've got one that is.
And the bugs love them.
And the other ones, yeah. Japanese beetles are all over them right now.
Oh, they are? Because I've only seen one. I just saved one of my roses from 2 Japanese beetles, and it felt so satisfying to get rid of them. What about music?
What about music?
What music do you go to, Gary?
Oh, I would say if I had to say one type, it would be modern rock.
Modern rock.
Yeah, like Breaking Benjamin, maybe.
Breaking Benjamin. Have you ever heard of that one, Brock?
The Muse.
Oh, Muse is good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you like that one. I love Muse.
Some older classic like grunge, like Pearl Jam, Nirvana. When I was younger, it was like death metal, like Metallica. And Metallica's not death metal, but like
I can't understand some of Gary's
stuff
music
like
sometimes.
that. Yeah. Pantera was a really good one back in the day.
So you're not into rap music.
No.
But you listen to plenty of it,
I
right?
listen to plenty of it for work purposes.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Some of it's better than others.
It definitely is. Like one, Daylon Locke. Remember, he did get murdered a few years ago.
Sure did.
I put him in my rap story. I can't even remember when I wrote that. Unfortunately, but I talked to him once. I said, I really like your song.
See, I did not like his music.
You did not
I
like
did.
it.
I like the older school guys.
She's talking about De Leon, and I did not like I did not think he was very good. So you've got a different taste in your local rap music than I do.
Well, okay, so let's hear what Matt listens to.
Gosh, some of the old school rock, the AC/DC, and I listen to a lot of country.
Oh, you do?
I don't listen to the hardcore stuff like Gary does. That's not very relaxing to me. I sit out by my waterfall. I want to listen to something that's relaxing.
Ah, I get that. Country and Western can be soft. It can be clever.
Yeah.
It's
Makes
just,
you cry because they would talk about your dog dying. And
I know, that's the thing. It's like they know just how to
too
put
depressing for me.
that twang in their voice. It sounds phony to me. So anyway, all right. What else do we want to see about the gang unit? Because we've been going on for a while. I'm not doing too badly here.
I mean, geez, I don't remember how many there are in it right now. We just lost one temporarily, but we've got like 2 sergeants, 2 different shifts, and then about 5 detectives on each shift. We've got 1 assigned state trooper with us right now who does good work with us. We're a good team, and the one you just talked about, Sergeant Felton was in here a while ago for one. He runs the day shift. I run the night shift. So we work pretty
How
good.
many times did they call you over and say, "Well, I want the sergeant to come," because they don't agree with?
Mean when like he's on a stop, it
I try to tell him, you don't want my sergeant to go.
doesn't work out how the people that are requesting it want it to work out. Typically, yeah.
There was one that was making the rounds. I'm not going to say his name, but you were the sergeant who showed up.
There must be an urban legend out there that if you call it the sergeant, you'll get off. I've never seen that happen, but it typically is. Yeah, sorry for you. You're going to jail.
That's right. They're just trying.
And you're not far
Trying to buy
away.
time.
I mean,
I'm typically pretty close to my guys when they're out there. So
But they're just trying to delay the inevitable.
yes,
Trying to
it's
delay.
a delaying action. And intimidation, delaying. They think they can intimidate. Like, you're going to intimidate him? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you have a rather forbidding presence. Like, were you ever in the UFC or one of those? How do you
I like
guys-
to mix it up, Jamie, but I was never in the UFC.
He used
All right.
to lift a lot of weights until he got old and broken.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I mean, what do you do to train for this job? You must keep in shape.
I go to the gym as much as possible. When I was younger, I was pretty proud of how fit I was. But now at my age, where they say play for the tie, you just don't want to get any worse. I'm not looking to get any better anymore, but I just don't want to get worse. So just running and weight training.
For our job, Jamie, I mean, we're a small unit. So to me, I grew up playing sports. So I like the camaraderie of sports teams, right? I mean, that was part of it. That was a big part of it. And,
Yeah,
and our
absolutely.
unit is very close and we work together and we go through a lot of things that normal people don't. So we have to be close and we have to be experienced. And that's why we train a lot. And we have to be there for each other. And that, that's the piece that I still like about it. Just like I did when I played sports in high school and college. It's one of those things.
Would you play basketball now, or?
I still, I more of the recreational stuff like fishing and hunting and stuff now. But it used to be baseball, football, basketball growing up. And, but I've always liked that cohesiveness of being a part of a small unit.
Right.
that depends on one another. So that's what I get with being in the game.
So you guys haven't turned to pickleball yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet. They're not.
Pretty darn popular though, isn't it?
I know. I see them playing all over
Yeah.
town.
Hopefully not this week.
Were either of you in the military?
I was not.
No.
I had a father that was, but I was not.
I just went, oh, that's right. I know. Might as well talk about education. What did you do to become a police officer? I know, Gary, you're a graduate of Bishop Dwenger. Matt said he went to Northrop. Did you all get a degree in criminal justice?
Yep, mine was, at the time, was IPFW. I got a degree from Indiana, so my bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Indiana University.
So you knew you wanted to be a police officer all the time?
When I graduated from college, yes. When I started college, I didn't know. I just knew I wanted to go to college, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was a mediocre high school student. Just kind of got by, went to college, and took a couple classes and fell in love with the idea of being a police officer.
Was there like a really good criminal justice teacher who inspired you to take that route?
There was a couple, like the ex-police chief, Neil Moore, was one of my earlier ones.
Judge Pratt was teaching that.
Judge Pratt.
Neil Young.
And one named Alex Kiro. And there was a couple of really decent ones that were in there. And then Mike Downs.
Yeah.
Too, yeah.
Mike Downs, the late Mike Downs, was an instructor too out there. So I had some really good instructors that kind of put me on this path. So.
And then all of a sudden you get on the police department and you want to be on the gang unit.
I didn't want to be in the gang unit for quite a while. I had almost 10 years on before I went to the gang unit.
Did they ask you to do that?
At that time, the gang unit, I started policing in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I got in the gang unit in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
The gang unit started in 2007 when Rusty was the chief.
Mm-hmm.
And the deputy chief of Southeast at the time was Nancy Becker Chamberlain, and she ran the gang unit. And she was trying to get me to go into the gang unit a little bit, but I was not ready to go at that time. So,
what about you, Matt? Did you got a degree in criminal justice?
I did.
Too?
I had the dream of becoming a police officer when I was young.
Really?
As a child.
Do you have
looked
it
up
in your
to police
family?
officers. No, distant family, but nothing. I always respected law enforcement and the uniform, and always looked up to police officers. So I knew what I wanted to do. And after high school, and I ended up with the same degree as Gary from IPFW, but the degree was from Indiana with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice.
And you too. You already knew that you wanted.
I did,
to.
but I started my law enforcement career late. I worked for Pepsi Cola for 16 years, and still wanted to become a police officer, and was still able to. But I started my career in law enforcement when I was 36 years old.
Oh, so why did you work for Pepsi all that time?
I worked for Pepsi through college as a temporary job through the summer when I was in college, and then I stayed on and was promoted multiple times within. So it was hard. It was hard to give up, but I knew this is what I always wanted to do.
Nice.
So we took
good
that
money,
to the
job
step.
security, and didn't want to leave it.
Yeah, that's tough.
And do you like to drink Pepsi too?
Yeah, we
These
go to
guys-
restaurants. We go to restaurants sometimes where we, like once a week, we go out to dinner. We call our Fat Friday on our last day of the week. And if it's like Coke they serve, he won't get pop. Other than what
There's still some loyalty.
Man,
Still some
I'll
loyalty.
tell
I'm a
ya.
loyal-
he's
I'm
got
a
he's got Pepsi stock, so he wants to see the stock price. That's what it is.
Pepsi tastes better than Coke anyway.
There you go.
Well, see, there you go. You've
There
got
you
a
go.
loyal customer. I'm not sure I can tell the difference, but I like both of them.
Yeah.
So, all right. If anybody wants the last word, please tell me. Otherwise, we're going to sign off with Gary Hensler and Matt Foote from the Fort Wayne Police Department Gang and Violent Crimes Unit. Anybody?
Well, I just think that the creation of that unit has just been so valuable over the years because we used to complain about the lack of intelligence that we had about what was going on in the streets. And our gangs in this community, for the 40 plus years I've been involved, have never been the same structure as what you see on TV. They've been more loose associations.
But still deadly.
Anytime you put impulse and a gun together and drugs, yeah, people get killed. And we've seen these kids go through, starting when they're, mid to late teens, and some of them go to prison, some of them get killed themselves, and some of them kind of grow out of it. But they really have done a great job of seeing what's out there, staying on top of what's out there, and trying to intervene when they're having intel that they know somebody's doing bad stuff, that they can start working on them and keep it from going worse. And
I thank Mike for that accolade, but truly it's a partnership.
yeah,
We work closely with the prosecutor's office and the deputy prosecutors, and that has gone a long way. We always come up with new things, new ways to tackle problems, and it's a true partnership.
Well, I'll say that on that note, like that goes back to what we're talking about. Just in our agency, we used to be siloed with our information and our units and everything, and their office was no different. Back in the day, if we went through like the prosecutor's office like 10 or 15 years ago with certain charges or whatever, if it was outside the box, but no, we're not charging that. God forbid, we can't charge that. It's not what we're interested in.
Frustrating.
And now his deputies have I didn't think of that, sell me it. And then so and they would be along the lines of, no, that won't work. This is why it won't work. And so we'll go back to the drawing board with our charges. So it is a constant, good working relationship we have with their office. And that's how we are with homicide too. And again, back in the day, we didn't communicate with each other. They hoarded their cases and their information and didn't think that they were involved with gang act. Didn't think to communicate with us. We didn't think to communicate with them. We did our own thing. Everybody did. Now it is a good, open working relationship with everybody, and we pass ideas, knowledge, everything to each other. And
That's really great. Do you have a big picnic together?
We have a Christmas party sometimes.
Oh, maybe we should go there.
It was pretty good this last year.
I'd like to be a fly on the
It was a good
wall.
one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what you're talking about with like Baltimore with their programs and stuff, I mean, that's what we strive to do. His office strives to do. Our chief, everybody strives to always improve, to be better, to come up with better ideas. We don't want to stagnate because our ops, the violent criminal street game, they're not stagnating. They're always changing. They're always adapting. They're always
Getting bigger guns.
They're always doing whatever. They've got bigger guns. We have to get bigger body armor. It's just, we're always adapting. And so we're always looking for better ways to improve, to make our city safer.
And it is safe.
It is.
All right, this has been great. We want to thank Sergeant Gary Hensler, Officer Detective Matt Foote for coming on. They are with the Gang and Violent Crimes Unit. You can watch this and everything else on Apple and Spotify. You can see it on our page, The Probable Cause, and our website by the same name. So for now, in case anybody else wants the last word, we're going to say goodbye. This episode is filmed and edited by Frosty Pictures. The Probable Cause is produced by Maumee Media.
Worried when I crossed the Michigan line, a cop from Steuben County waiting on I-69. A headlamp went out while he pulled me over. Charged me with possession after I rolled down the window. Now that's skunk. Indiana's a trip when it comes to weed. It's like who doesn't smoke or use gummies? Your grandpa, your brother, your rich friend from school? Hell, throwing the whole courthouse and my attorney too. It's time those assholes change these stupid laws. It ain't worth the paper for a probable cause. Sitting on a bar stool in my usual place, this guy next to me said he was looking for some cocaine. Hell, I just sold him an 8-ball with a little piece off for me. But my buyer was a cop? Should have known he was a creep. So I'm a dealer, right? You gotta be kidding. It's a rich man's drug. I just take it because I'm injured. 8 years in Westville with a monkey in my back. There's more drugs in here than you can shake a shank at. One dirty drug test, man, this system's flawed. Undercover screwed me in my probable cause. Street crimes never did me no favors. I'm hooked on Fetty. I'm a junkie, not a felon. Told that son of a bitch on the way to lockup. I can't seem to shake it. I need help, not mocking. What do you want from someone who's been through the system? Drugs all through the house before mom and dad went to prison. Throw me in jail and give me a fine? Someday I'll be dead and away from your kind. Now I'm at the courthouse in front of a judge. Can't say my public defender cares for me much. Crimes are committed on both sides of the law. God help me now with this probable cause. C shift never gets old. Anything can happen when you're out on patrol. You think I'm just eating donuts, man? Give me a break. Nothing on this job is a piece of cake. Lights and sirens activated. This knucklehead wants to chase. Baby mama at the scene just spit in my face. Wife's worried that someday I won't be pulling up at all. You'll read about my killer in a probable call. Man. She went through my phone and she seen my text. I told her forget it. It was just my ex. She took a swing and knocked me flat. Man, I went wild and hit her back. Judge slapped me with a no contact order. Now she's got the kids and she's staying with her mother. So she started it all and I have to take the fall. You can read my whole story in the probable when I was young. Caught a case for dealing and did my time. Yeah, I got a record, but I was doing fine. Running my own business on the southeast side. Yeah, I got a gun. I kept it on hand. Told the cop my reason, thought he'd understand. In this neighborhood, you need some protection. Attorney thought I could get just community corrections, but the judge decided to send me to prison. Can't get ahead no matter how hard I try. Read the probable cause, it'll make you cry.
Whispers and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause.